Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back. Hope you all are doing well. Now, as promised from a post that I made on here a couple of days ago, today I am reviewing my all-time favorite film, and that is, of course, if you haven't seen that post, Batman. Batman, or Batman 89 as it has been referred to in recent years, was directed by Tim Burton and stars Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, and Kim Basinger. So while this is my all-time favorite film, and all-time favorite Batman film for that matter, this actually isn't my first Batman film that I ever saw. I know it came out in 1989, which is incidentally the year I was born, but I actually didn't see this film until like around 1995 or so. But before then, my first Batman film that I have ever watched was the 1960s version starring Adam West and Burt Ward. And I just remember being forever intrigued by this character whenever I first saw him in that classic scene where he fights off a shark that's attached to his leg. Just a reminder, guys, whenever you go swimming in the ocean, be sure to bring down your shark repellent bat spray. But it's this film right here that forever changed how I would view Batman whenever I heard his name. No campy or goofy 60s version, even though it is great in its own way. But now, because of this film, every time I hear the name Batman, I always remember this movie. And its very dark, brutal, and gothic portrayal of the character. And ever since I watched this film for the first time in the early 90s, I have gone on to collect as much merchandise as I can from this film. I have a Batmobile Hot Wheels car, I have the Batman novelization, I have the Batman graphic novel adaptation, I have the Batmobile 89 Lego set, I have the Batwing 89 Lego set, I have this Batman 89 statue, and of course, it wouldn't be a Batman 89 collection without the Batman 89 VHS tape. I bought this at a used bookstore not too long ago. I just love this cover. It's great. It doesn't even have the Batman title on the front. It has it on the side, but it's just, you don't need it. It's just, you see that Batman logo, that's all you need. It's just beautiful. I love it. Now, whenever I decided that I wanted to review this film, I quickly discovered that that was going to be a challenge, because while I love this film and still love it to this day, just because you claim that a film is your favorite, some people would probably get the notion that you would be considering that particular film to be the all-time greatest film in cinema history. And is that what I am saying today? Well, no. Because after a recent rewatch, I promised myself that I would give you guys my honest and unbiased review of this film. And while it is still my favorite, there's definitely some flaws that I picked up on. With that said, guys, let's get started. From start to finish, I still heavily enjoy this movie. Whenever you see the first Warner Brothers logo appear on the screen, accompanied by Danny Elfman's iconic score, which I'll get into a little bit more about in just a moment, and then it just fades into black, and then you see the camera angling around the dark shadows, finally revealing that it's the Batman logo that we're seeing. That's just a perfect opening to this movie. And on that note, I just love how this film looks. The visuals, the scenery, the cinematography, it's just all well done. Whenever you get that first image of that bird's eye view of Gotham City, it's with that image alone that I feel best represents what Gotham City should be, in my opinion. It's just a beautiful design altogether. Especially a few scenes later when we hear from the mayor himself state that Gotham City is famous for all of its crime. The scenery and the representation just further supports that statement. And some of my personal favorite scenes throughout this whole film isn't necessarily when Batman's doing something awesome or whenever he's fighting off a group of thugs or he's fighting the Joker. It's actually when we get to see some more of the awesome scenery. My all-time favorite scene is when we see the Batmobile driving through the dark forest en route to the Batcave after Batman just rescued Vicky Vale. I just love the design of that forest. You can definitely see the Tim Burton influence behind that scene, and on that note, Danny Elfman's score throughout that whole scene is just amazing. I get goosebumps every time I watch it. Adding more to that, the scene where Batman flies into the sky and is illuminated by the moon. Come on, that's cool. Who doesn't love that scene? And I love the cinematography when we see the Batmobile destroy excess chemicals amidst all of the fires and explosions and gunshots. Just seeing that Batmobile just storm through that building, it's just amazing. I thought the film was casted perfectly. I remember recently reading and seeing some old news footage regarding the controversy around Michael Keaton being cast as Batman, how nobody thought he can do it, how he was not fit for the role. I just love that. That's just kind of an underdog story in a way, because nowadays, whenever you hear Batman, a lot of people, especially some of the ones that I talk to, immediately remember Michael Keaton being their favorite Batman or the best Batman in their opinion. He's definitely the best Batman in my opinion, and I'm sticking to that. Jack Nicholson's performance as the Joker was classic, iconic. He was definitely born to play that role. Some of Jack Nicholson's delivery on some of his lines were just amazing. Kim Basinger did very great as well, and I thought that for the most part she had very great chemistry with some of the actors in this film. There is one exception to that, and I will get to that in just a moment. But I have to say, one of my all-time favorite things about this film is the score. Not only is this my favorite film, but Danny Elfman's music is my favorite film score of all time. It's just, it captures each moment perfectly. Every note that's played is necessary and represents what you're seeing on screen. It's just amazing. And as well as the scene with the Batmobile driving through the dark forest, another scene that I felt like was just scored perfectly was the ending, where we get the camera's view ascending through the side of the building, eventually revealing Batman at the top of the building, staring at his new bat signal. It's just, that scene, the music is just fire. You just hear the music just gradually crescendo into this big and exciting and adventurous epic finale. It's beautiful. But as I mentioned earlier, during my recent rewatch, there was some flaws that I picked up on that, sad to say, it's still my favorite movie, but sad to say, it did kind of affect my overall grade of this film. So one of the things that I just didn't care for was the chemistry between Kim Basinger and Michael Keaton. I thought they both did a great job in their individual roles, but it's just, I just didn't like their chemistry. And on that note, the love story that they shared was just very forced and very sudden. It was almost like watching a Disney movie with how fast these characters fell in love with one another. Vicky Vale states in the movie that she fell in love with Bruce Wayne the moment that she saw them, but there wasn't much of a romance. They met, they had one date, they stayed the night with each other, and that was it. That was it. I just wasn't convinced that there was, a spark between them. And on that note, there were some scenes that I kind of felt like we could have just done without. The biggest one for that matter was when after Bruce and Vicky's date, we see Vicky Vale wake up in Bruce's bed, and she looks up to see that Bruce is hanging upside down, swinging back and forth like a bat. And I confess, whenever I first saw that scene, I thought that Bruce Wayne was just doing a late night workout routine, but no, he was sleeping like a bat. Now, these are more or less just nitpicks that doesn't necessarily hurt the film that they were included in it, but I kind of wish was, in that I wish we saw more of Billy D. Williams. I wish that we could have gotten some reference to Batman Year One, where he forms this alliance with Harvey Dent, as well as forming an alliance with Commissioner Gordon for that matter, especially since that's one of the, classic alliances in comic book history. And I feel like that would have better explained the ending when Batman delivered a bat signal to them. In the film, it's just, portrayed that Batman sent them a letter and, oh, by the way, here's a bat signal. Whenever you need me, call me. I don't know. I kind of felt like that could have been better. I wish we could have gotten something similar to what we saw in The Dark Knight. Batman forming an alliance between Gordon and Harvey Dent to take down the Joker, stop his operations. I kind of wish we'd have gotten that, but again, it doesn't necessarily hurt the film that it wasn't featured in there, because I know we were seeing Batman very early in his career, but it doesn't really go anywhere throughout the rest of the film series. Batman and Gordon don't necessarily have the best of alliances. They don't really interact that much with each other. Sure, Batman Forever, you get hints that Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne were great friends, but you don't ever see that, and I kind of wish we did. So this is probably the biggest thing that I caught on to in my recent rewatch. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that caught on to this or if others have caught on to it as well, but when the Joker releases, you know, millions of chemicals throughout the city, poisoning the citizens through cosmetic products, I'm having a hard time believing that Batman was not only the first one, but the only one that could solve the mystery behind that. Granted, I know why it was Batman, because, you know, the film is called Batman. He needs to be the hero of the story. He needs to solve the mystery. But I'm just having a hard time believing that the police forensics team weren't able to deduce that it wasn't just one chemical that was poisoning people. It was actually a combination of other products. Now, again, I do get that Batman had the advantage in this case. The film was about him. He's the world's greatest detective. And not only that, he actually had access to Jack Napier's criminal file. He was the only one that knew that Jack Napier was alive and that he was the Joker, and that he was very intelligent when it came to chemistry, so he was able to put two and two together. But it's just, I have a hard time believing that nobody else was able to solve this before Batman did. But again, that's just something that I caught up on. I could be the only one. But despite those flaws I caught up on, this is still my all-time favorite film. I think it's beautifully made. It's got a great cast. Danny Elfman's score is amazing. The scenery and cinematography are beautiful. But sadly, those flaws do actually downgrade this film for me. So with that, I'm going to give Batman from 1989 a B+. But guys, thanks so much for checking out this review. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. And what are your thoughts on this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Is Michael Keaton your favorite Batman or no? Either way, be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comments and I'll be sure to check those out. Guys, thank you so much. If you're new to my channel and you're enjoying my content, then be sure to consider to hit that subscribe button. Have a great one.